So was yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. These are the words from the blockbuster summer movie, Barbie. Now Warner Brothers' highest grossing domestic film release in history. It is more than a rage. It is an entire movement called Barbiecore. Did you know that the color Barbie pink has its own Pantone? It is hexadecimal color code number E218A. Were you aware that Greta Gerwig began working on the set for this film more than 2 years ago? And that they ordered so much paint that there was an international paint shortage of Barbie fluorescent pink? Production designer Sarah Greenwood said, "The world ran out of pink." One of the film writers stated, "Barbiecore is not just about wearing a certain shade of pink. It means channeling a confident attitude and exuding happiness into the world infectiously." It is the best day ever. So was yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. This may be a movie about pink and plastic and perfection, but these words reflect one of our most ancient narratives, the story of creation. As we gather tonight to celebrate the new year, so too, according to Jewish tradition, does Rosh Hashanah represent the birthday of the world, the entire world, all 6 days of work and the 7th day of rest, all the plants and animals, creatures of the sky and air and water, and the crown of God's work, Adam and Eve, humanity, us. For me, the Barbie movie is a rhapsody on the story of creation, where human beings born into perfection decide to trade stasis for change, leave perfection behind, and move toward adventure. They sacrifice the sameness of Eden for the diversity of our world. Each year on Rosh Hashanah, we look at ourselves and ask, have we renewed our lives, or have we been satisfied with the status quo? Have we pushed the boundaries of our identities as human beings and taken risks, or have we chosen to just blend in with the masses? Have we earned another year in a world that is rich with choice and opportunity? Did we truly live this past year? The new year and the birthday of the world call us to ponder the idyllic existence of the Garden of Eden. We contemplate its life of peace, tranquility, safety. Each year, we are tempted by life in Eden, just as all of the Barbies were lulled into the safe but uneventful Barbie land. And why not? The world is complex and changing. Over the past year, we have witnessed the warmest temperatures ever recorded on Earth. We have had front seats in a war between Russia and the Ukraine, with seemingly no end. There have been cataclysmic floods. We have seen and smelled wildfires burning hundreds of miles from the fires themselves. Refugees from the world over seek better lives, and many perished on their way to freedom. As Yenta put it in Fiddler on the Roof, it has not exactly been the Garden of Eden. No wonder we quietly yearn for the pure, pristine world of our dreams and fantasies. And though we have not lived in the Garden of Eden since Adam and Eve, who, by the way, likely never really existed, we have been drawn to the paradise of Eden as an enclosed utopian world ever since. a world in which we never grow old, change, or dare to imagine. Eternal life is appealing. Barbie Land calls. We wish for a cessation of suffering, a place and time in which all our needs are fulfilled. Perfection. One of the few utopias left in our world belongs not to us, but to our children and grandchildren. Summer camp. Several weeks ago, the New York Times published an article called "Camp Sickness is Real and a Sign of Something Special." For this writer, Jewish summer camp is a, quote, kind of extended period of euphoria in which kids cultivate a series of climactic highs with very few lows. Camp can create a transformative 2-month bubble for children, just like a trip to Neverland, end quote. However, this too, we know, is finite. NYU professor of American Jewish history, Sandra Fox, warns us, camp's 2-month escape inevitably ends, and as with Neverland, you have to grow up, or at least pack your sleeping bag and go home. Isn't this Barbie's story too? Born into an impossibly perfect body that never ages and living a life of eternal sameness, she grows restless. Just like Adam and Eve, she challenges the norms of the Barbie Land utopia. At a big party at the dream house, she momentarily wakes from her slumber and out of nowhere asks, "Do you guys ever think about dying?" From that moment on, Barbie and her life are no more perfect. She separates herself from the others and becomes an individual. And then she is open to the challenge by Weird Barbie, who says, "You have to go to the real world." It is the treacherous world of life and death where human beings are flawed and things don't always go well. Barbie is enticed to explore the ominous world of knowledge and pain, mortality. We know that world. It is our world. One year at the High Holy Days, a rabbi warned the congregation about the fragility of life. "One day, everyone in this congregation will die," the rabbi thundered from the bema. Seated in the front row was a woman who laughed out loud when she heard this. A little irritated, the rabbi asked, "What's so funny?" "Well," she said, "it's a good thing I'm not a member of this congregation." We are actually allergic to the always perfect. Our world calls out to us. Since humanity's exit from the Garden of Eden, we are a people of finitude. We ask questions, we feel sadness, we sometimes fail. We relinquish living forever with living for living with knowledge. As humans, our DNA is not engineered for utopian perfection. Our nature is to grow bored of uniformity. Monotony makes us uneasy. We exchange Neverland, Eden, and summer camp for the reality of living and the inevitability of suffering, all for the reward of free will, choice. Adam and Eve made the same choice. So did Barbie. Adam and Eve were exiled from the Garden of Eden, and they lived together east of Eden, tilling the earth, raising children, struggling to stay alive. After the years of struggle, when their children were grown, they decided to see the world. They journeyed from one corner of the world to the other, wandering from place to place. they discovered the entrance to the Garden of Eden, now guarded by an angel with a flaming sword. Frightened, they began to flee. Rabbi Ed Feinstein tells the Genesis story beautifully. Adam and Eve, God says, you have lived in exile all these many years. You have served your punishment for eating the forbidden fruit. You may now return to the Garden of Eden. And as these words were spoken, the angel with the flaming sword disappeared, and the gate of the garden opened. Come in, Adam and Eve. Wait, Adam replied. You know, it's been so many years. Remind us, what is it like in the Garden of Eden? The garden is paradise, God said. There is no work. Neither of you ever need to struggle again. There is no pain, no suffering, no death. Life goes on forever, day after day. Come, return to the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve listened to God's words. No work, no struggle, no pain, no death. Endless, perpetual ease. And then Adam turned to Eve. He looked at the person with whom he struggled to make a life, to take bread from the earth, to raise children and build a home. They thought together about the tragedies they had overcome, the joys they had celebrated. And Adam and Eve shook their heads. No thanks. Eden is not for us. And they turned their backs on paradise, and hand in hand, they walked home. We cannot be human and perfect at the same time. Being human means taking risks, making mistakes, being okay with things not being just right. Leslie McLean is a graphic designer for a periodical called Unpsychology magazine. For nearly 10 years, this has been a publication of writings, music, and art in which authors explore the mind, culture, ecology, psychology, and soul. McLean tells this story about the summer 2023 edition. She says, and I quote, "I am usually afraid of making mistakes. However, I have to say that I've come to love mistakes. Mistakes are creatures that refuse to align with the straight ruler as to how things ought to be. The more time I spend with imperfections, the more friendly they get, inviting me to new creativity, blending their shapes with how things are. So this summer, I cleared the grammar and spell checks off my software because they had overwhelmed me with their constant stream of mostly unnecessary suggestions. I did find mistakes, but in the end, I also received an unexpected gift. Once I edited out my mistakes and removed all the excess words and design, I discovered I was left with 2 new, blank, empty pages for me to play with however I wanted. These kinds of mistakes that sometimes emerge, whose rewards sometimes emerge, cannot live in Eden, in Barbie land at camp. Barbie laments, "The real world is forever and irrevocably messed up." But that is the world we know, our world. Ours is the world of sickness and errors, of poor judgment and mortality. But at the same time, it is the world of ideas, and ideas are never perfect. Ruth Handler, the Jewish creator who fashioned Barbie in 1959, naming it after her daughter, Barbara, spoke of our world in the movie, and I quote, "Humans have only one end, but ideas live forever. It is an even trade. Instead of living forever, we create brilliant ideas and precious moments that live on long after we die. In the words of John Steinbeck in his classic book, East of Eden, he writes, and I quote, "And now that you do not have to be perfect, you can be good." In Judaism, the opposite of perfect is not imperfect, it is good. In Genesis, God refers to the creation as good and humans as very good, but never, ever perfect. We are good within the bounded framework of our mortality. We create and enhance the world around us, and on Rosh Hashanah, we recreate ourselves. In what is perhaps the most human line of the film, Barbie confesses, "I want to be part of the people that make meaning, not the thing that is made," end quote. And making meaning is the foundation of Jewish thought and practice. We have only one lifetime to be meaning makers, and Rosh Hashanah, the new year, is our time to recommit to goodness, to service to our community. Our world is messy, plagued with wars and famine, with good people who suffer, with people who can be dishonest, unkind. Sometimes it is all we can do to stay afloat. However, it is precisely in the tangles of our world that we discover truth and one another. In her review of the Barbie movie, Alyssa Wilkinson comments, quote, "It was in gaining knowledge of the outside world that made Barbie aware of her free will and helped her and those around her to live better, more fulfilled lives." Is today going to be your best day ever? The host of NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me said, "If any of us could have had the best summer of our lives and not come close to a low-key, retired Boston University professor living in Newton, her name is Barbie Oppenheimer." Barbie Oppenheimer, and she is for real. And this summer, Barbie Oppenheimer, a regular person, a grandmother who wears cardigans and taught speech pathology at BU, she got to live the American dream. She was a celebrity for a completely random reason. Perfection sounds nice, but I'll take our world any day. As drivers of our own destinies, may we have what it takes to make 5784 the best year ever. Amen. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.